righty. So, what's up? What's up? What's up? Hello to everybody. I want to take a quick moment to just welcome you all to a very special edition of Inspirational Talk with Toneal. I know it has been a minute, but with this show, I like to kind of air it when I have something that's worthy to be aired. And so, I am so excited about this edition, this special edition. I have a special guest with me. And when I heard about his upcoming project, I'm like, absolutely, we want to get you on. We want to talk about this thing today. This is somebody that I have known for, I think, a couple years now. Hey, Stephanie. And I'm so excited that he is now working on his own project and he's here to discuss it with us today. And as he's coming, I want to make sure that I say to you all, be sure to say hello, talk to him, talk to me, talk to us both, ask questions. He's going to be here, so you can feel free to ask your questions, but also like and share the video. And then tag somebody that you believe would benefit from the broadcast. And who would benefit is anybody that is a friend, family member, or fan to Mr. Donnell Brooks. How you doing, Donnell?
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
I am so glad that you were able to be on. I'm excited for this interview. And I just gave a little smidge of a background of who you are. But if someone was to ask you, who is Donnell Brooks? How would you answer that question?
Donnell Brooks is a natural inspirational leader.
I love that. I love that. Come on. A natural inspirational leader. And you know, I am big about inspiration. I am big on all things empowering, and inspirational. What made you want to, like, do you feel that that's the call that's on your life, that you are called to inspire? Or did you just, like, at some point in your life realize that this is kind of what just comes naturally for me?
I feel like I definitely feel like it's a calling. I feel like it's a gene, a mixture of genes, from DNA genes from my mother and my father, just based off of their personalities, their characteristics. So I believe that those genes mesh together, and this is what you
Create
get.
too. I love it. I love it. So, what was Donnell like as a little boy? What were you like growing up?
Whew. Donnell was something else. Outside of those doors, never at my address, but outside of
Mhm,
those doors, I was something else. I think as a kid, I know as a kid, I took things that my mother said literal.
mhm.
So if she said something, I took that literal. Like, just say for instance, we were being babysitted by older cousins or something. My siblings is all I got. So if
Mhm.
my mom told me, "Don't let nobody touch y'all, don't let nobody hit y'all," I stood on that. Even
Mhm.
as a kid, like I wasn't even an adult, but I was standing on that. Like especially me and my brother. Like you no, you hit my brother, you hit me too, because I'm gonna hit you.
Right?
So
Right,
yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. Like what's done to one is done to all of us. And so, like, even though you were saying you were something else outside the house, it seems like even at an early age that being obedient was something that kind of came to you, or at least obedient enough to where you understood that your mother was somebody to admonish.
yes. I knew not to play with my mother at all. That was that was definitely the one that you wasn't gonna play with, because where you act up at, that's where you get it at.
Got
I was an adult. I can recall a time where I was an adult and there was a situation going on outside. And although I really didn't have anything to do with the situation, it was some people that was with me. So, my mother knew how I was. Like she know that I stand for mass,
Mhm,
blood,
mhm,
and friends. Like I stand for you. If I rock with you, I rock with you to
mhm,
the bitter end.
mhm.
She grabbed me in my collar, grabbed me in my collar, Mr. Neal. I'm talking about wrap me clean on up in front of everybody. Like, yeah,
I ain't playing.
you man, you gonna listen to me. Yep,
Mhm,
that
mhm.
that part for real.
Absolutely. And I'm not laughing at your trauma, Donnell. It's just the fact that I can so readily identify. Like, I think that when you grew up with older parents, it was a different time. Like nowadays,
Hmm.
you try to say something or do something to this generation, everybody is getting involved. It's like nobody wants for you to say anything. And so it's almost, it deauthorizes, if you will, the what the parents can say or what your authority figures can say. But in our day, you could get snatched up. And and I wish
Yeah.
you would go tell somebody. I wish you would,
Hmm.
at the end of the day, what they gonna do? You better be prepared to go with them if they think that they gonna outrank me. So I definitely understand where you coming from. And so we fast forward through your life, and at some point the acting bug hit you. So why don't we talk about that? Like, how did your passion or your love for acting develop?
So I've been in the entertainment game for a long time. I started at the age of 3, and it progressed through the dance industry. That's why I started everything in the dance industry. So performing in different talent shows and competitions all around the city of Chicago, to background dancing for local artists and everything. It just that was the bug for me. Like that was life, but it also kept me out of trouble. That was my scapegoat.
Mhm.
Rehearsal after school. I'm going to rehearsal, and we rehearsed Monday through Friday back in the day.
Mhm.
So you couldn't wait to do your homework so that you can go to rehearsal because you got something to look forward towards.
Mhm.
You got a show coming up this Friday. You got a show coming up next Friday. You got a show coming up at the end of the month, and you want to win.
Mhm. Mhm.
Those competitions, there was only 3 places. From first place to third place. You wanted to be in that ranking.
Yeah.
So I mean that it started from there, but I would say the bug really hit me because okay, I'm gonna do a little rewind. So from the dancing, I was graced by God with the opportunity to be a background dancer, background specialty dancer, and an extra in Save the Last Dance.
Really? I
Really,
gotta go back
really.
and watch in that.
Yes. And so you would have thought that would have been the book right there. I mean, we worked with them. Me and my childhood best friend worked with them from we was with them from the time they started filming here to the time they got ready to leave here. Like it was just us and them or whatever. And um, but the book didn't hit me there. I thought it would have, but it didn't.
Mhm.
So fast forward from that, a friend of mine, Mr. Dane A. Campbell, he started his own production company, entitled Fearless Fiction. And so I was on his board doing all background stuff and, just there with him for auditions and everything. And I was meeting different people and seeing this stuff. And I was like, wow, this is dope. Like they really doing this. And after
Mhm.
having a few conversations with um, actors such as Thea Camara and David Walker, it was just like, you should give this a try. You should
Wow.
see, what you would do. So I heard about an audition, but I wasn't going to tell anybody about it
Mhm.
because I wasn't for sure if I was going to go. And a good friend and brother of mine, Lord rest his soul now, um, he convinced me to go. And I was like, well, how am I gonna get there? At the time my car was down. So he was like, I'm gonna Uber you from work. You're gonna let me know when you finna get off work. I'm gonna Uber you to the audition. Then I'm gonna Uber you back to the house. I said, okay, cool. I go to the audition. And by the time I made it home, I had a part. So I thought.
Mhm.
And when the director broke everything down to me, I was the lead. This was
Wow.
my first
Wow.
production.
And you landed the lead.
Landed the lead.
Wow. That's
And I still didn't know the or the girth of that task yet.
mhm.
Because again, this is my first. Again, I'm with my friend. I'm working behind the scenes.
Mhm.
I'm in the booth working the music and the lights. We doing that the technical stuff.
Mhm.
So to be out in the forefront, and I had to share it with him. Like I went in audition, I got a part. Him and his wife both came out to see me and gave me their blessings. Like, bruh, you had all of that.
Wow.
What's going on?
Wow.
And from that day, from that production, I just didn't stop. I just didn't stop. But the difference, I feel like the difference with me and other actors and actresses that I meet and rub elbows with is a lot of people are looking for stardom. Donnell Brooks is not looking for stardom.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
wholeheartedly feel like I'm a little old somebody from the west side of Chicago. You know, you interviewed Season, and I was blessed to be a part of Season. And like I said in that interview, I am honestly living a black boy joy.
Wow.
The
Wow.
west side, I'm from the west side of Chicago, K Town, the hood,
Come on. Come on. I know a thing too
the
about
hood.
K-Town. Mm-hmm.
So to be able to be a part of, to be able to grace a lot of these stages and get on these sets to just do this, it's like wow, like God is real.
You better
And
say
if
that.
you keep trusting him and you keep believing and you talk to him and you keep him first, he'll open some doors for you to do some things. And it might not be major to nobody else, but it's major to me because of where I come from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
real.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that's what separates me or sets me apart from other individuals. Is I'm honestly not looking for stardom. I'm a little old somebody who want to tell everybody about that great somebody.
Who can save
Somebody at work
anybody?
just
You
asked
better
me
come
this.
on. Come. You
Come
better
on.
come on.
Somebody just asked me this at work. They was like, so Donnell, I heard that you into the acting and everything. How do you take rejection? And I said, if I can be honest with you, out of every what 10 no's, you bound to land it yes. But I'm okay with taking rejection because I'm not out to gain what others are out to gain. I want to go on set or be a part of your production on the stage with you so that others can feel good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I've been on projects where the directors were amazing, immaculate, great, uplifting, and all of that good stuff. But I've also been on sets where the directors were mean as hell,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
mean as hell,
Mm-hmm.
degrading and dragging down the actors and the actresses. Come on now, what
Wow.
a god in that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as long as we carry that light, as long
That's
as we carry that light and we come together, we can get through this.
absolutely.
We got this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody need a little bit of encouragement. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
need it, and even me. People see me as this strong black male, but even I get weak. And we all got to get poured into.
Mm-hmm. 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 Let me tell you something. I always say that every encourager needs an encourager. And Stephanie said that she is very absolutely proud of you. And that's let me tell you
Thank
something.
you so much, Miss Stephanie.
You said something when you said I know my wife, because that's really one of the questions I was going to ask is what your what is your why, and you've already identified that, because one of the things that I
Yes.
always say is that you need to know why it is that you're doing what you're doing, because that's what keeps you focused. And so to say, look, every time that I wake up and I'm doing this, this is it. This is the why. It's not about stardom. It's not about fortune and fame. Just being able to make a difference in whatever space and place that I end up, that is my why. And I think that, like, as long as you do that, because I remember watching an interview that Tyrese did, and he said, I want to say it was Shannon Sharp that was interviewing him, and he pretty much had told Shannon, he was like, look, he said, 30 years later, I'm still living a dream. He said, I literally started out because I wanted $100 and this girl's phone number. And, and he's like,
Hmm.
because he has a similar story. He's like, I'm from the ghetto and where he's from, you know what I'm saying, which is, I want to say somewhere in California or whatever. And it's exactly what you're saying. Like, there's just a way and a time that you are able to walk in your, and it's like, what are you gonna do with it now that you have this opportunity?
Hmm.
What are you gonna do
That's
with it?
true.
And so if for those of you who are just tuning in, let me pause real quick. For those of you who are just now tuning in, this is a very special edition of Inspirational Talk with Toneal, and I am honored to have with me today none other than my friend and actor, Donnell Brooks. And we are ultimately going to get to talking about his upcoming project, Pieces of Me. But before we get there, let's kind of go through some of the things that you've been able to do, because like you said, you started out dancing. So the acting thing is one thing when you are behind the scenes, right? Because I'm definitely one
Hmm.
typically behind the scenes and helping other people else and other people out and pushing people forward. But then you get the taste of this acting bug that kind of propels you to the front. Now, once you start acting, are you now at the place where you're like, okay, it's been a shift in my life, or do you still like dancing at this point? Like, are they still equal passions for you, or is it like, okay, now I'm transitioning from this season to my life to this season?
If there's a transition, it's definitely a transition. Don't get me wrong, dancing will always be a first love. Because I feel like our culture, you hear music, we grooving.
Mhm.
That's a natural thing for us. You know, you hear music, we're grooving. Um, and I think that's the reason why I'm so humble when it comes to this acting thing. I'm always willing to learn, always
Mhm.
willing to take in constructive criticism, because in the dance community, I feel like I had reached a peak.
Yeah,
Here it is. Like I said, I got a chance to be a part of Say the Last Dance. That's a major film.
absolutely.
I I did the Chris Brown. I opened up a Chris Brown concert. You know, I'm here performing for Selena Johnson, R. Kelly, Crucial Conflict. You know, and we did all of this by being under the umbrella of Miss Linda McWright, and Umbrella Productions on the west side of Chicago. This woman was throwing major concerts. We're opening up, doing grand openings, getting $500 checks, and this as a kid, though, you know, as a teenager. So
Mhm.
so stardom was already be like the Bible say, "Oh, taste and see that the
Come
Lord
on,
is good." And
it's
I was
good.
tasting already at a young age. So
Yeah.
I'm not chasing stardom.
Mhm.
And again, that's what separates me from a lot of people when it comes to this acting thing, when it comes to this dancing thing. I watch people now who's not humble and go and sit on judge panels and turning their nose up, and it's unnecessary. You know,
Mhm.
we all come from humble beginnings. So everybody started somewhere.
Mhm.
You feel what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Everybody started somewhere.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's definitely a transition. Stepping into this acting thing. And again, I know a lot of people think that, oh, I'm this great big people's person, or oh, Donnell loves to talk. I'm very shy. I'm not gonna say shy, I'm gonna say bashful. I'm
Yeah.
very bashful, and I'm nervous anytime it's time to do something. Anytime
Mhm.
it's time to do something, I'm nervous. My former church, I think I was on every ministry it was in the church almost. And if people was always saying, "How are you nervous? You do this and you do that and you do this and you do that. How are you nervous?" I'm nervous. I'm
Right.
nervous every single time, because I know this. If the nerves are not there, I'm no longer supposed to be there,
Mhm. Mhm.
because
Mhm.
now this flesh has overcame
Yep.
whatever, you know.
Yep.
No,
Yep.
I hashtag this faithfully. This is one of my famous hashtags. It's always been bigger than me.
Mhm.
It's always been bigger than me.
Mhm.
That's why I'm so nervous when it comes to me doing something,
Mhm.
because this is bigger than me. This is not about Donnell Brooks. Donnell Brooks will mess it up every single time. But as
Yeah.
long as I keep God in the forefront, as long as I keep Him in, I can get through this.
Absolutely.
This
Absolutely.
can be made possible, because all things are made possible through Christ Jesus, who strengthens us. So
Gotta say
you
something.
know, we got to keep Him
Don't get this
first.
turned up. Look, down there, we'll take it to church if that's what you trying to take it. Because listen, God has been so good. And when you look at various tragedies that may have hit your life, various traumas you've had to overcome. But you look and see where you are now. You keep saying about being from the west side of Chicago. And if people are not from Chicago, you don't even understand how that in and of itself is a testimony. Go ahead, because it looked like you
Miss
were
Toneal, the neighborhood alone, to be able to, I'm 43 at this age right now. I'm 43. To be sitting here, being able to be interviewed by you is a true testament within itself, because I should have been somebody's cellmate a long time ago. I should have been in Forest Home Cemetery a long time ago, but God, and
Come
that's
on,
what's real.
my God.
That's what's real.
Yes.
That's what's real. If we gonna talk, and I know a lot of people ain't gonna like the way I talk. A lot of people ain't gonna like what I'm saying, but that's okay. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know that God is real.
Come
You
on.
can't get me to doubt him.
Come on. What the song said, no
I'm
tears.
unlike Lot's wife. I ain't gonna look completely back, but I'm gonna glance back over my shoulder,
Yeah.
because
Just to
I
kind
know
of
from whence I come.
yes.
I know from whence I come.
Come on. Come on.
I know I shouldn't be still standing. And there were people that I was growing up with. They're no longer here.
Mm-hmm. My
They're no
God.
longer here. You're not gonna tell me God ain't good.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
Mm-hmm.
I always say I'm living Black Boy Joy. It might not be you. Other people may be looking for me to have millions.
Mm-hmm.
May be looking for me to be in LA somewhere. I'm living Black Boy Joy right here in this in the city of Chicago, right here in Illinois. I'm living my Black Boy Joy.
Yes, talk about it. Listen, and people don't understand when you know why you're doing what you're doing. And let me go beyond that. When you know who you're doing what you're doing for, then it really puts things in perspective. And that was what Stephanie just said. She said, don't worry about what anybody else think. Because so many times the reason why we get distracted is because we're trying to do something for people. But I always, and this is kind of how I say it, you don't want to focus on the crisis, you focus on Christ. And a lot of
Come
times when
on,
you get distracted because you're looking at the things that's happening in your life, or you're looking at the people who are here, who ain't here, the followers that you don't have, or the viral videos you ain't get. Like when you start focusing on those things, then it's very easy for you to lose focus. But when you keep in the forefront, look, every day that the Lord blessed me to see, and I'm asking him to order my steps, then I'm living with intentionality. You said it's always bigger than me. And that's what people really have to understand. Like there are in acting, there's something that says there's no there are no small roles, just small actors or something like that. Like at the
that's
end,
it.
it's always about what are you going to do with what's been given to you. So it just seems like at this point, you have pretty much figured that out. And so, like at this point, those of you who are tuned in again, you can feel free to interact with us, ask Donnell any questions if you have them. Definitely feel free to like and share the video, as well as tag somebody that you believe will benefit from this broadcast. And again, this is inspirational talk, and that's what we're doing. It's not like we are on a script. We're not trying to inspire somebody, but I tell you what, when you start talking about the things that God has done and how he's brought you, that's bound to inspire somebody. And so now I want to just kind of go, because we've kind of hit on the fact that you've been into this acting lane for a minute now. And so now we get to what is your latest project, which is called Pieces of Me. So I want to, before we jump into what it is, let's talk about the inspiration behind it. How did you get to the point of saying, hey, I know that this is the next thing that I need to do?
So back in the latter part of 2015, I started to say, "Oh, God gave me a book,"
Mm-hmm.
and God is not a man that he should lie. He gave me a book,
Mm-hmm.
so I assumed the book was the pieces of me,
Okay.
but it wasn't.
Wasn't that? Mm-hmm.
I know how God deals with me. I know how
Mm-hmm.
God deals with me. We've been doing this thing for a minute now, so I know how He deals with me. The pieces of me is a ministry that
Mm-hmm.
He gave me. So the mid part of 2016, I put on the pieces of me,
Okay.
And I didn't do it based off of Donnell Brooks again. Donnell Brooks would mess things up every time.
Mm-hmm.
This had to be solely based off of God. So God gave me the people. That's who I sat down and communed with. When he
Mm-hmm.
gave me the people, we sat down, we locked it in. After locking it in, two people drifted off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And a great friend and brother of mine, who was also a great friend and brother in the dance community, Mr. Willie White Jr. He was being the creative director behind myself to put it together in 2016. And he said, bro, if this is what God gave you, this has to happen regardless.
That's it. Yes, sir.
This has to happen regardless. I understand how you say he gave it to you and you saw it. So now that these two people can't do it, it still must go on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So okay, the show did just that. It went on, and in the midst of it going on, once it ended, another great friend and brother, a man who now, Lord rest his soul, he said, "Bro, that's it. We got to do this again. This
Wow.
has to happen again." He said, "You opened up something in me. You opened. We none of us knew what was going to be said. None of us knew what was going to be the outcome. We just let God have His way.
Yes.
We just let God have His way. But it also bonded us
Mm-hmm.
even closer,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so it had been sitting on me, of course. But again, I can't move unless God say something.
Mm-hmm.
Even with this acting thing, I run into actors right now that we have a lot of actors who are equity, a lot of actors who are signed to these different talent agents, and people ask me all the time, what on there, who your agent? I say God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
You better say, come on. Come on.
And I'm not saying it to be cliche. I'm not saying it to be because again, I'm not religious. I'm a spiritual being. This
Mm-hmm.
is spiritual. This is real. This has to be a real connection between me and God. Because I got
Mm-hmm.
to answer to him. I don't have to answer to you. I have to answer to him. He the one person that I can't lie to. His eyes is in every place.
Beholding
So he
evil.
knows everything. He know my thoughts before I even speak them. You
Yes.
know. So when he gave it to me this time, he gave me the people.
Mm-hmm.
I went to them and I communed with them.
Mm-hmm.
This is how this was given to me. This has to happen. Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. This has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Come what will, come what may. This
Mm-hmm.
is what's going down.
Mm-hmm.
Because I won't be disobedient to him.
That you better say that part. Listen, you are talking to somebody who I've been in that place and space, and don't nothing good come from being disobedient. When you hear God's voice and He's telling you to do something, and you so focused either on folks or what resources you got or don't have it, He's like, "What did I say do?" So you
Exactly.
exactly. You have to move in obedience. So now that we're moving, you're like, hey, I hear the call, Lord. I got you. I got the people. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this production, Pieces of Me. Now let's talk about it. What is Pieces of Me?
And again, pieces of me have been in the works since the latter part of 2015. Um, and of course, I've been a part of. I even now knowing that the pieces of me is opening up November the 2nd. I was just in 3 different projects while getting prepared for my own thing.
Wow.
And of course, you of course it's always gonna be the naysayers. People feel like, oh well, maybe he left my project for his project. No, the pieces of me has already that was a baby from
Mm-hmm.
way back when. It's already been in the making. Um, but the last project that I was just a part of, Beyond the Door,
Mm-hmm.
the challenges to perform the role that I just did. To me, it wasn't acting. To me, this is real life. To me,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is real life because I know that there's a calling on my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I'm called to go and stand in front of nobody's church and preach.
Mm-hmm.
But God has a pulpit and a platform for Donnell Brooks
Talk about.
specifically. There's a lane that I have to walk and I have to fulfill that.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I
Absolutely.
want to or not, it has to be fulfilled.
Absolutely.
So why not be obedient?
Mm-hmm.
The pieces of me is, again, it's bigger than me. See, a person would hear it and think like, oh, it's about Donnell Brooks, but it's bigger than me.
Mm-hmm.
The entire flyer that everybody see, the slogan behind this is come and experience what's behind the smile.
Yes.
See, people don't understand that there's different components and compartments and things that had to go together to make you you.
That's you better say that. Yes, sir.
Nobody know your story. You know what I'm saying? Nobody know your story. Nobody can walk in your lane. Even if me and Toneal were the same size shoe, I can't
Mm-hmm.
walk your path. I
Mm-hmm.
can't do it. You
So true.
can't walk my path.
So true.
So the pieces of me is allowing people to get to know Donnell Brooks, allowing
Mm-hmm.
people to get to know Marcello Randall, allowing people to get to know Reginald Rob, allowing you to come into our world,
Mm-hmm.
to experience what's behind the smile.
Mm-hmm.
The smile ain't fake,
Mm-hmm.
but you get to experience what's behind the smile up close and personal. This is intimate. This is personal because it's personal between us and our creator.
Mm-hmm. 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 But that's good. And I was getting this because I wanted to be able to show people this is what we're talking about. It is Donnell Brooks presents Pieces of Me, and it is a monologue. Like he says, an intimate show. And so we want for people, look, you guys still have time. I think they still got time. Do they still got time to get tickets,
They
Donnell?
still have time. They still have time. You
So
still
you
have time to purchase tickets.
come on. So we're gonna talk about how you can do exactly that. But whether you're in Chicago or feel like driving to Chicago, it's on the west side of Chicago at the Artist Cafe, room 5125 West Madison. And so if they want to get tickets, how do they go about doing so?
There's a link. There's a link that you go to the Artist Room Cafe, and you're able to pull the entire show up
Mhm.
and purchase a ticket.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we are so glad that you came on, Danielle. And Shalana says, when God orders your path, everything falls in place. And I believe
That's
that. I
that's true.
believe like
That's true.
you don't have to worry about if everything is gonna be okay if He's ordering your footsteps, because you are gonna be exactly where He tells you to go. Stephanie says she been had her tickets. Thank you so much for supporting, Stephanie. We need that support. And that's one of the things I do want to ask you about. How have you found the support? Because like you said, we know that no matter what you do, there are going to be naysayers, there are going to be haters. But how have you found the support to be in what you're doing right now? Like whether you're talking about specifically Pieces of Me or just any of the other projects that you've been doing since you've been in the acting world. How has that support been for you?
Well, for one, my sister, my blood sister, my one and only sister, whether she can be at a show or not, she's my biggest cheerleader.
I love it.
Whether she can be at a show or not, she's my biggest cheerleader. And
Hmm.
I know this because when I need encouraging, she steps up to the plate.
Hmm. Hmm.
She steps up to the plate, and she has those words because I know God gives her those words to say to me. You
Hmm.
know, we lost our mom in 2018,
So sorry.
and that's why I tell people my siblings are all I got,
Yeah.
and so that's something you not coming between.
Hmm. Hmm.
That ain't happening, and because we know a lot of people like to play the divider when it comes to family, or you're not coming if you don't see me and my siblings I don't care if you don't never see me and my siblings together, you'll
Hmm.
never be able to come between us.
Hmm. 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 Let me tell you something. I lost my mom in '02, so I totally understand what you're saying, and it's something about that that definitely strengthens the bond between siblings, and I think it's because you have something that nobody else will ever understand, being able to grow up with that experience with your parent. That's something that will always, bring you all together. Now, I know that
Hmm.
because your project is coming up next Saturday, November 2nd, you may not be thinking about anything beyond that. However, because you are already doing a lot of different things, like you said, you are part of different productions, even with your own coming up. There might be some other things that you're working on. And I just want to give you the place and space to talk about, do you have any other projects that's coming up, whether it's something that's immediate or something that's in the works that you may want to share with us?
I do. I'll be working with Marquise on Blood and Moon. It's a
Oh,
series. He's actually going to do a short film first. It was a series that we were supposed to shoot post pandemic, I believe. I mean, pre pandemic, beforehand.
mhm.
And some things happened, but yeah, it's back in the works now. So that's the only other thing outside of what I got now. I actually just had to pull myself from a project because life happens, a lot was going on, but to God be the glory. I'm
Amen.
stable in this moment, and now I can get back on what I need to do.
Hmm. And you know what? I'm so grateful for you bringing that out, because one of the things, so like even when I'm not doing inspirational talk, I'm a huge advocate for self care, mental health, matters and things like that, because I think sometimes we can lose ourselves, especially with social media, right? Like whether it's trying to keep
Hmm.
up the hustle and bustle, managing social media, making sure that you're pushing, promoting, and especially when you're in the independent sector, it's like I got to be the one to push all my own stuff. Like I think sometimes we can get caught up in that, and then sometimes, and I mean people, not you, but people can get caught up in trying to measure themselves and compare themselves and want to be like, and to the point that you are starting to lose yourself and you don't even
That is
know who you
so
are.
true.
Go ahead, talk on it.
All of that, all of that is so true. And it's funny because that's this how I know this ain't nothing but the Holy Spirit connection, because I literally was just talking to my right hand about the same stuff that you just spoke about. I said, again, like I just said, what separates me from other actors and actresses is I know them. A lot of them are looking for stardom. By
Mm-hmm.
all means, kudos, because I love a lot of these people in this industry. Again, I'm a part of Act Pack Dark,
Mm-hmm.
APD, James Gordon, and the rest of the crew, the rest of the family. I love them all and support every last one of them and everything that they do. But I'm just not looking for star. If it comes, by all means, if it's
Mm-hmm.
from God, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm here to make others feel good. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
little old somebody who want to tell everybody about
Yeah.
that great somebody who laid it all down for us. That's
Mm-hmm.
me. I'm that encourager, natural. It's just that simple for me. When
Mm-hmm.
I'm a part of a project, I'm always looking to encourage somebody in some shape, form, or fashion because everybody needs it. Again, I said I look back over my shoulder just a tad bit. I know from whence I come.
That's it.
Everybody needed somebody to be encouraging them, to push them, to get them that little to let them know you can do this, you can make it, you're gonna be all right.
Mm-hmm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
don't have that. What separate Going back to what you just said, what separates me from people when I'm not in this acting world, when I'm in my own the real world, when reality sits in and I have to be at home. Thank God now I'm at a place where it's very peaceful.
Yeah.
And I spend a lot of time talking to God in my car. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been doing a lot of self care, a lot of me time, me and the
Yes.
Lord, me and the Lord, me and the Lord. What separates me from people is I'm not. My social media is not for the likes or the loves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to be fluffed up.
Mm-hmm.
What comes to mind and what God give me to put out, that's what I'm gonna put out, and that's just what it is. It's just that simple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking for the amen section, or I'm not looking for that crowd to be behind me and hype me up. I'm not looking for that.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely love. It's legit. You know, if I rock with you, I rock with you.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I don't rock with you like that, we ain't beefing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still praying for you. There are people that I don't hang around at all, but I still call names out in prayer every
Come
day,
on,
faithfully,
come on, come on.
faithfully, faithfully, because I don't want to see you fail. I honestly want to see you blessed.
Yeah.
I want to see everybody eat. We might can't eat at the same table, but I want to see everybody eat.
That come on.
I
You
want to
just
see
did
everybody eat.
one right there.
We might be eating two different meals, but I
Mm-hmm.
want to see everybody eat. I want to
Mm-hmm.
see everybody win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
God gave all of us our own fingerprint. They not gonna fingerprint me and it's gonna come up to Neil Jackson. They not
Absolutely.
gonna fingerprint to Neil Jackson and it's gonna come up Donnell Brooks.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, you can touch things in a way that none of us can touch it. I can
Mm-hmm.
touch things in a way that nobody else can touch it. There's
Mm-hmm.
no need for me to be jealous of you. I'm not. I want
Mm-hmm.
to see all my people win. I want to see all my people eat. I want to see everybody striving.
Mm-hmm.
You got your own lane. I got mine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Listen, and you when I say you done gave a whole word, you said we might I want everybody to eat, we might not eat at the same table, but just because we ain't eating at the same table, that don't mean I want you hungry. I just got sense enough to know that we don't need to be at the same table. And when I'm listening to you, it really reminds me a lot of when I'm talking to our friend Aretha, because that's how she is. Her thing is she's like, I know that I've been called to media arts and entertainment. And we have to look at it that as God's children, like there has to be light in the midst of every darkness. And people have to understand
Yes,
just because you are light for the dark, it don't mean that the darkness will overshadow us. We're there to be a
that's
light
true.
in the darkness. And so if the light never entered into media arts and entertainment, then Satan, he's already on a rampage, but there would be no light
Hmm.
in and speak the word of God. And I've seen, you and she interact with each other. I've seen how you can, change an atmosphere. And that's what it is that we're supposed to do. And that's why I say, kudos to you for doing what it is that you're supposed to do from an authentic place, because that's what's going to give
Yes,
you the reward that you're looking for. Because what you're looking for is that well done, thy good and faithful servant. Because when you get
that's it.
that, you see what I'm trying
That's
to say?
it.
And that's what really matters. And so, when you get to a place where you really are focused in and you understand this is my why, this is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, everything, nothing else, like you said, nothing, whether you like my post or you don't like my post, it don't take away from the validity of the post. It don't take away from the reason why I pushed out the post. And if only one person see it, then you know what? That's the person that it was meant for. So when you live by a spirit of intentionality or with a spirit of intentionality, then it's like, hey, I know that whatever it is I'm saying, whoever's supposed to see it, they're gonna see it. And so, like now, for those who are just now tuning in, I'm speaking with Donnell Brooks. He is an actor, he's a dancer, he's an inspirer, right? He is just an inspirational person. And we've been talking about a plethora of things, amongst which is his upcoming project, Pieces of Me. And if you guys have not already gotten your tickets, then I encourage you, go and you can get your tickets. There is a link if you go to artistroomcafe.com. There are still tickets left. It is here in Chicago, on the west side of Chicago. So we've been talking about that. We've been talking about a whole lot of stuff even beyond that, because as he always says, it's bigger than him. And so now, as we're getting to the end of the show, what I do want to ask is, you've been dropping nuggets all night unintentionally, just indirectly. But if there was a word of wisdom, people always say, because you say you're 43 now, what at 43 would you tell your 18-year-old self? What have you learned now that you
Whew.
wish you would have known at 18?
At 18, the fire I had at the age of 18, I believe if I had the knowledge I have now, the know-how, I mean, when I say the knowledge, I mean just what knowing what the Lord has called me to do at the
Mm-hmm.
age of 18,
Mm-hmm.
I would
Mm-hmm.
have wrecked. I would have been wrecked. I would have been wrecked the rest of that a long time ago. A
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Knowing, just being able to not just know, but walk in what God has for you and know, doing it with such confidence. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's another thing to be said. I think sometimes people kind of know their purpose, maybe. And so because they're not 100% sure that this is what I'm supposed to do, then you don't do it with that fervor. You know what I'm saying? But it's like once you know
Hmm.
that this is the place and space that I've been called to, then you do it with confidence. You do it, and I keep saying the word intentionality because you understand there is no such thing as coincidence. Wherever I am,
Yeah,
when I where go ahead, talk about it.
it's it's perfect that you're saying that though, because God is intentional. Everything that He does, it's
Mm-hmm.
intentional. Everything had a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Everything had a reason. So, and I'm so glad you brought up Miss Aretha because I just love her. I really do love and respect her so much. I can remember there was a time where I didn't take a break from social media, but so much was going on that I really couldn't get on every morning like I was getting on. And she just gave me a nice little message. And the message was like, hey, where are you? The world needs you.
Wow.
And even that alone, it's like, that's how his eyes is in every place. Somebody's always watching.
Yes.
Somebody's always watching. For her to say that, it was just like, wow, the world needs me. Like, oh God, this is real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that sounds exactly like Aretha, like giving that word of encouragement just when you need it. It doesn't always have to be all the time, but it's when it's needed.
Mm-hmm.
And that is
Mm-hmm.
leads me to my next question. Say there's somebody who is listening and maybe they're going through a dark time, because I can only imagine, just in knowing that you lost your mom, I can only imagine that you've experienced at least a dark time in your life. What is something that
To be
you
honest, I have. I went to a dark place October the 27th, 1999, when I saw a casket close on my father.
mm, talk
And to
about
fast forward that to November the 23rd, 2018, and watching the casket close on my mother, I didn't feel like me.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But one thing that stuck with me and my mom had conversations every single Sunday. We didn't miss a Sunday because she didn't live in Chicago anymore. She lived down south, but she was here visiting. She was here when she passed away. So
okay.
I did everything here. We did everything here. But to know that though I can't have those conversations anymore, you know, we talked every Sunday. She's sharing how her service went, what she did, what's been taught, what's been said. She want to know what's going on with me, what the service is about today. We swap those stories every single Sunday faithfully, none missed.
Mm-hmm.
But she instilled to trust God no matter what in me. She did that.
My God.
Trust God no matter what, because she didn't try to. This is another thing. I don't try to be perfect. Again, Donnell messed up every time. She didn't try to be perfect. She wasn't trying to be a Bible thumper. She wasn't. She wasn't perfect. She didn't try. She didn't even attempt to be perfect. She was her.
Mm-hmm.
She was who God created her to be. But she loved the Lord, and she stayed praying,
Mm-hmm.
and she served, 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 and she loved her family. That was just her heart. But she instilled that in me. No matter what, trust in the Lord. No matter what, study your word. Even if you just gonna study it for a hot second, I need you to know His word. Just like it say, His word is hidden in our heart. Keep that in. So,
Yeah.
so now I walk with this. I walk with, no matter what it look like or feel like, stay the course and trust His process. Because at the end of the day, this thing bigger than me. There's going to always be some stumbling blocks thrown in this path. But as long as I keep him in there with me, I know that I can get over this. I
Mhm.
might not know how. I might not even see it in the moment. But I know that with him, there's a way.
My God. Oh, so this interview wasn't even supposed to be about me. You got me over here crying because when you talked about, seeing them caskets closed, and because I've lost my parents as well. And I tell
Whew.
people all the time, I don't care how much you might say your mama get on your nerve, your daddy get on your nerve, whatever. You only got one. And when
One.
they are gone, it is life changing. When my mom,
Completely.
listen, and you have to figure out how to keep on going. But nobody really teaches you. And you said, so when you said that your mom said to always trust God no matter what, that's really the only thing that's gonna get you through, because nobody teaches you how to handle the hurt and devastation that comes with losing somebody that is so close. Like how you said your mom was close to you, my mom was close to me. And, like I was her caregiver. My mom had cancer and she lived with me until she passed away. But the point that was '02. And then you fast forward 17 years later when my father passed, and I'll never forget the day he called me. He called me literally 7 days before he died, and he said, he called me his nickname for me. He said, "I need you to do Daddy a favor," and I said, "What's that, Daddy?" He said, "I need you to MC my funeral." I said, wait, now you have to keep in mind, my dad was not sick. He wasn't in the hospital. Like, so it's like, where is this coming from? And I'm like, are you
Hmm.
planning on
Hmm.
going somewhere? And he was like, I ain't saying that. I'm just saying, he said, I need you to MC my funeral. He said, because daddy like to have some service and I don't want nobody in there all dead and crying. He said, and I know you the only one that can do it. And I said, all right, because this don't really sound like a favor that I can say no to. This ain't like you give me a choice. This is like a command. This is what you want done. And so again, fast forward literally 7 days later, I'm getting a call that it's been a cold blue. He had been rushed to the
Mm, mm,
hospital,
mm.
cold blue, and he's gone just like that. And when I get to that funeral home, that was probably one of the hardest things in my life. When I say my knees almost came out from under me, and I'm trying to figure out how in the world am I supposed to have the strength to facilitate his funeral. But I go back to the words you said, trust God. And everything happens for a reason. Had I not lost my mom in '02, I don't know that I would have had the strength, the knowledge, the faith to get through that moment. And I'm saying all that because we ain't gonna end this on a sad note. It's really a happy note to say that everything that you go through, even if in the moment it seems devastated, even if in the moment it seems like there is no way out, if you just continue to stay the course and trust God, He will show you exactly what to do. He will show you exactly what to
That
do. So go
that is
ahead.
so true.
Go ahead.
That is so true. Oh, that is so true. That is so true. Um, See, my dad was my first superhero, and my mom, she was my forever favorite girl. No matter what life threw at her, her strength is what I walk in right now.
Yeah.
She that was an example. Everything I saw her walking through, it won't let me break.
Come on.
And I know it ain't nobody but God, you know. But me witnessing her, to me, this may not be for nobody else, but to me, she was the strongest woman I knew.
Yes.
The
Yes.
strongest woman I knew.
I know what you mean.
She got up and spoke life to me because at my father's funeral, I said, "That's me laying there. That's a
Yeah.
part of me. I'm Nobody knows me anymore because I'm gone. No, nobody knows me anymore." But she spoke to me and she spoke life to me. So I had to get up and I had to speak at her service. And I know as much as I miss them daily, I know that they're walking with me in my now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that those nuggets that they were dropping while they were here, that's with me right now. I tell people all the time, nothing is done by my own strength. I promise you, Donnell, to mess it up every time. If I
Yeah.
just walked in me, I would mess it up every single time.
Yeah.
But God,
But
His
God,
grace is sufficient.
yes.
It, it, that's just what it is. It ain't
Yeah.
no ifs, ands, and buts about it. That's why I tell people all the time, nobody can get me to doubt the Creator.
Hmm.
Hey, if you got a different belief, it's fine, but you stay over there with that.
Yeah.
Nobody ain't gonna get me to doubt what God has done for me and how
Absolutely.
He keeps on holding me over
Hmm.
and over again, over and
Hmm.
over again. Like you say, those knees, I still have moments.
My
I
God.
still have moments where I break out and I cry. I drive for a living. There's plenty of times I had to pull over. I got to get it together
Hmm.
because there was no book written for grief. Nobody, like you said, nobody told us
Say that.
what the
Say
new norm would be like because that's what we're doing. We're living in the new norm now.
absolutely. Absolutely.
We're living in the new norm now. You're trying. I tell people all the time, the hardest part ain't the funeral. It's
It's
after.
show right.
It's
Show.
after. It's after.
Yep. Every day.
I literally, I had a god sister. Lord rest her soul. Her children had to bury her, and they was like, "You gonna MC her service?" I had to muster up the strength because of who she was to me and because of how her kids look up to me.
Hmm.
I had to
Hmm.
muster up that strength to do what I knew the Lord wanted me to do, and to be that little brother I was to her, to be that uncle for her kids
Hmm. Hmm.
and for the rest of her family. I needed to stand 10 toes down, as we say in the world now. I needed to be there 10 toes down and stand on the word of God and show them that hey, you ain't going through this alone. I sit where you're sitting.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
We just like we're the walking billboards of Christ. I'm that walking billboard to
Hmm.
let you know. And I'm not. It's not taking away your pain because I
Hmm.
still have it daily. But I'm a living example
Hmm.
as to you can push, pray until something happens, push forward and keep going,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you're gonna be all right too. We gonna be all right together because we gonna stand in this together.
Absolutely.
You're not
Absolutely.
alone. You're not alone.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think that is the perfect way to end this. You are not alone. So if you guys, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this as much as I have. Donnell, don't seem like this done been an hour, but it's done been an hour already. But I thank you so much for coming on to the
I
show.
thank you.
Absolutely. You already knew that when
I thank
you knew
you.
that answer was gonna be yes. I'm so excited about what you are doing. And I think that's the other thing. When you see positive people doing positive things, you always want to do whatever you can to push and to help. And like I say, my daughter's birthday is on November 2nd. Otherwise, I would have been there. But this was at least the least that I could do to help get the word out. And so again, guys, I want to
And I
encourage
truly
you guys.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. You already know that. So I want to encourage you guys, if you haven't already gotten your tickets, and I'm going to end the show with this on here, but make sure that you go and get your tickets, artistroomcafe.com, to Donnell Brooks's Pieces of Me. It will be showing next Saturday, November 2nd. But again, I want to thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody else who has tuned in. And if you are watching this live, November 5th is election day. If you live in Chicago or any of Cook County, your girl is on the ballot.
Indeed.
So I am asking that you guys please hit
Woo!
and vote for me as your next commissioner of the MWRD. But thank you. That's something totally separate to you, Donnell. Thank you so much for coming on. And to everybody
Thank
else,
you.
that you all please stay inspired.